Would you like to sign the condolence book, please, and donation to the family, and straight through?
Yes, thank
You don't have to give, by the way.
Before we get the proceedings underway, we're going to greet Roy's family, Roy's sister, Helen, his mother, his wife, his child. They've requested that as they come in, I think it's important that we kind of stand and welcome them in. But I also think it's what they've requested is that we observe 1 minute silence for Roy. And based on the occasion this is, it's really important that we observe this. So when Roy's family come in, because of the difficult moment it is for them and quite a few of us, let's really give them a proper welcome as they make their way onto this table. All right? So listen, please give your love and support to Roy's family, please. No, come on, let's hear it properly, come on. Yeah, could we please just observe a minute's silence for Roy and his family at this moment in time, please. Thank you. Please be seated. Yeah, welcome everybody. I'd like to say a special welcome to Roy's family. Tonight, on one level I suppose you could see this as an occasion that's quite sad in some respects, and it is. Because, you know, it'd be great that Roy is here. But as we know, Roy passed over. And tonight, when we kind of came together, and when I say we came together, many people, I mean, there's numerous people to talk about how this event came about. But I think what's important as we get through the course of the night, one of the things we're going to kind of recognize is how loved, respected Roy was. We're going to learn a lot about Roy, but more importantly, this is an opportunity for the kind of community to come together and celebrate a joyous occasion. And so the program is very, very compact. There's lots of stuff on. What I would say to all of the speakers coming up and performers is be respectful of time. But more importantly, this is an opportunity for us to reflect. Because when I was asked to host tonight's event, I had to reflect on my relationship with Roy, just as a kind of opening. In August of 1986, I met Roy. Roy came to Stockton, where I was from, in Nottingham, as part of a program called Caribbean Focus. And Roy came to my house. He had a drum, a couple of bits of clothes, no money. But you know something, 22 years later, I saw him just before Christmas. We kind of journeyed in a range of different ways. So for me, one of the reasons I'm kind of grateful for having a chance to host it, because it means that for all of us here who've journeyed with him, this is like a big extended family. So I don't want you to feel sad tonight. I want you to reflect, enjoy it, celebrate it, clap, applause. But let's kind of be united and come together. So let me first say, are people in the house? Yeah. No, you're not. So, yes, see, that's good. I also want to say a big thanks to all of the speakers who are coming up, all the people that's given their time. I also think it's very important to say a big thanks to the Jump for putting this on. Thanks to all the drummers, there's a lot of people that have put this together. And I think before, because we normally do this at the end, but some people may come and go. So I want everybody to just give a really loud noise to everybody that's helped put this together, please. So we're going to kind of get underway, really. Roi, for those that didn't know, was very, very much into his spirituality. I was fortunate that when my son was born, Roi officiated in his naming ceremony. So I encountered Roi at that time with my son, who officiated in a traditional African naming ceremony. And it was only fitting that before we start the program, we have a very important moment where a libation is going to be poured by one of our elders, Brother Berenga, who's going to come and pour libation to start the occasion off. So Berenga, please, big hand for Berenga, please.
We're going to ask everyone to stand. Pour libation as part of the recognition and acknowledgement of our Creator God, and as a way of thanking those who have gone before us in paving a pathway that has made life easier for us. That even when we think life is hard, it could have been harder. Because it is that we are celebrating the life of someone who has contributed, the libation will be slightly different. Because when we lose one of ours, it means that it reminds us that we must actually call for those inspirations that has enabled us to not only give the world civilization, but that we have actually paved the path that people today can talk about their multi-religions as if it is something that was discovered recently. But it is out of our spirituality that gave birth to all the world religions. We therefore call upon the Divine Mother, Father, Force, the Creator, to join us, to give us some guidance, and give us a pathway for the future. After each name that is called, I would like a response. The response is Ashe. And by now I hope everyone understands that. And then towards the end of the libation, we will ask individuals to call on any personal ancestors that they would like to come and join us in helping to give us guidance. We call upon Imhotep. We call upon those ancestors that created those civilizations of the Nile Valley to give us a direction for the future. We call upon Marcus Messiah Garvey, Queen Nzinga, Ya Asantewa, Harriet Tubman, I hope that we will recognize that in calling on ancestors, we call on those who we think has contributed positively. But that does not mean that other ancestors will not come to the door who we don't want to hear. So therefore, we must recognize that when we call upon ancestors, we're also opening up a pathway for everyone asunder to come and join us. We call upon Malcolm X, Paul Bogle, Nani of the Ashanti, Queen Mother Moore. We call upon Roi Kwabena. We call upon those ancestors from the north and from the south, from east and from west. May they provide a ring of steel around us that will protect and guide us for a better future. If there's anyone who has any immediate ancestors that they'd like to call on, then you are able to do so. But this time we're going to use white spirit. And if you want to know why, is that water takes a long time to evaporate, whilst the spirits evaporate more quickly. So it means that those ancestors will actually more quickly hear our call. Remind us that we're here to celebrate. Because when one passes over, especially one who has lived a life that has given us an example of what we should be doing, it means that it gives us the strength and the understanding to know that he has gone to join ancestors and will be working towards the benefits of our sense of people. So let us give a big cheer for Roi Kwabena.
Yeah, please proceed. Lights. Before we get underway, just to give a bit about the format for this evening, just so that you're clear about the way it is. When a group of us got together and thought, how can we kind of celebrate Roy's life, we realized that Roi was multifaceted. So rather than kind of do it chronologically, where we start from Roy's birth to now, what we've done is taken each facet of what Roi represented, and there'll be a short introduction by myself to that section, and then there will be speakers and performers responding to that. And so we're going to basically journey through the life and times of Roi Kwabena. Interestingly enough, this opening piece that you're gonna see, 21 drum salute, because we know there's a 21 gun salute, and I don't know, have we got? Can anybody count? Have we got 21 people on there? Are we? So, Roy loved his drum. I mean, when I lived in Nottingham 22 years ago, he came in, everywhere he went, he took the drum. And we felt that it's appropriate that we start with a 21 drum salute. So, let's have the 21 drum salute. Come on, let's hear it, come on. Yeah. Come on, you lot. Stop doing that, man. Give it some. To Roy by Sandra Golding. So can you please put your hands together for Sandra Golding, please? Please give it up for Sandra and the 21 drum salute, please. Thank you. Let's hear it. Everybody all right? Now we've kind of started. Sorry, can somebody just move one of the mics to the centre because we're going to start to get speakers and performers. Can you kind of, in the interest of making this fun, can you just applaud, give people some applause as they come off stage, the 21 drum salute, please. Thank you. They'll be back. Keep it going, stop loafing. Oh, your hands got dry. Yeah, don't stop, you know what I mean? Yeah, you can stop now.
Long time.
Enough people here. As I said, the format for the evening is we're going to take a section of Roy's life, and they're going to be people come up and illustrate that with either performance, speeches. My job is really to introduce each section. This first bit is about Roy as a traveller. Normally when we think about travelling, we tend to see it as a physical travelling. Roy travelled intellectually, Roy travelled culturally, Roy travelled politically, Roy was just a traveller. Frequently, how many people in here have been somewhere in the country and suddenly Roy crops up? Am I right? I've been places, you know, whether it's London, somewhere, Roy will always be there. And interestingly enough, Roy's still here today. So what I'm suggesting is, when we look at travelling and we look at journeying, let's not just see it as a physical journey. Roy journeyed and travelled in every facet of his life. And that's why all of you are here today, because at some stage you have joined Roy on his journey. I mean, the person that kicked it all off, she's down here with us, Roy's mum, and I think we need to give her some kind of applause. Hey, come on, let's hear it properly. She's Roy's mum. Thank you. And I'm sure we talked backstage, and I'm sure she's also travelled with Roy too. So what we're going to do now is invite some of the speakers just to present some of their thoughts about Roy as a traveller. Where's Ava? Oh, sorry, I didn't see her. Sorry, please big up for Ava, please.
Can you just, thank you. Right behind you, Martin. Hi, sis. Was, with a big smile, was how Roy always greeted me before telling me about his latest projects, venture or adventure, and how he wanted me to be involved as a writer or as a broadcaster. Last summer, I was walking into the foyer at Central Library and I heard a lot of noise and commotion. In the middle of all of this fuss, Roy was lifted totally off the ground, one security guard on each leg and each arm. And he was protesting, "I ain't leaving, you all can't throw me out." Sorry, I can't do a Trinidad accent, sorry, that's the best I can do. So there's me rushing to help. "Oh, Roy, what's happened now?" And then I realised that everybody, apart from me, everybody including the guards were laughing. And basically this was how they were welcoming Roy back to Central Library, which they saw as his home because of all the work he'd done there, because they hadn't seen him for such a long time. When they eventually put him down, he spent 5 minutes reassuring me that they were really joking. And then our conversation carried on where it had left off a few months earlier when I'd seen him, seamlessly, just like always. Tonight, I'm going to be reading writing from two great men of literature who go back at least 30 years with Roy, and they've requested that their tributes be heard in memoriam to their friends, seeing as they are in America and Denmark, and they couldn't be here tonight. The first piece Roi Kwabena in Memoriam, is written by Fred Degar, an award-winning prolific writer of novels, poems and plays, just like Roi. And also, just like Roi last year, Fred was included on the wall of history's greatest black achievers in Liverpool International Slavery Museum. Can you bring the music up a little for me, please, Aaron?
He's so humble, never touch a lion. Roaring, I'm walking.
Can you down a bit? Thank you. This piece is called Roi Kwabena in Memoriam. The lion is gone. When I say the lion is gone, you say the lion is still here with us. I say the lion is gone. He crossed the sea to be with us, the Caribbean Sea, the Atlantic Ocean. He roared with us when we roared for black rights, for black arts, for black community. He roamed the concrete jungle where we roamed, scratched for a living, made community. He helped us build what we built, this place, this drum, this drama. A place to laugh, a place to play, another place to think and sleep and dream and renew. The lion is gone. He sang our song. He sang in our choir, and we heard his voice loud and clear. When he sang, he made us laugh. He made some of us cry. But he would not want us crying or hanging our heads. He would want us to sing in his absence. He would want us to carry on with his song, which is our song. The lion is gone. He left us without warning. He did not choose to leave. None of us can really choose to leave. He would want us to know, though we cannot choose when to leave, we can choose to leave something positive behind. A light, like his guiding light, his laughter. A song, like his many songs. The lion may be gone, but I say with all of you in one voice, the lion is still here with us. Fred Degar, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks, Aaron. That's absolutely beautiful, as I said, by an award-winning writer. The second piece that I have for you is written by a writer called Lennox Raphael. Lennox Raphael is a writer and poet, a traveller and cultural activist who grew up with Roi in Trinidad and was in daily contact with him. This piece is called Sacred to Sacred for Roi Kwabena. I miss you, I miss you, I miss you. Oh, were I a poem, I would swear life is never lost or lived in vain. I would say, as I search my soul in pots of gold, life springs from memory, even as we are told to keep a diamond in our mind and seek and find the glow of a rainbow as we sow seeds of joy and every astonishing sight and tell you, life is a secret. We know when we meet it. Yet, bit by bit, as we experience the impossibilities of it, we hear the drums, we hear the drums, we sing the drums, become the drums. And in this day and age of human rage, we see lightning flash and hear of human clash and all that's rash, and night is day and death guards jealously its say, as time lies on its back and invites the snow to show those kisses that were once mistakes are now golden snowflakes. And as the clock of love ticks in the moonlight, God sits on a lotus and would appear to mock us. But it's only a dream, yes, only a dream. And life too, just something we always knew, but never believed how fragile our innocence and the impatience that makes sense. Why home sweet home is built as a dome, why tears, at times, would misrepresent the fears we use as clubs to bludgeon time. When, oblivious of the choice of dreams, laughter is the anthem of the hereafter, as we hear the drums, we hear the drums, we sing the drums and are the drums, as, in the dead of night, angels surround our bed and memories weave and crown our head, and before we know, our spirit goes with the flow that makes us glow in the dark, and the chuckle we hear is from one quite dear to us, now beyond all the fuss all the form and fuss, all the must and might and have to and be or bust. Oh yes, life is a sacred secret when we meet it. As we set our sights on the soul's bragging rights, those angels around our beds stand on their heads and sing our praises while time raises the beats in the galley of the soul and makes us bold as we fall apart and open our hearts to the art of God. He or she says to each an appointed moment when, freed from love or torment or whatever is heaven sent, one's voice describes a personal choice. Oh yes, I would sing every anthem, but I'm not a poem or caught in the net, at least not yet. Only the drums. I hear the drums. We hear the drums. Sing the drums. Become as drums. We miss you, we miss you, we miss you. Lennox Raphael. Thank you.
Come on, keep it going. The next person coming up is somebody that knew Roi in Trinidad, based here, worked with Roi, very well known. Please put your hands together for Yusuf, please.
Two, yeah. Okay, first of all, I'd like to start by doing this poem called Father. I think it's very significant because this was actually written for my father who passed away some years ago. And at that time, it happened in Port of Spain, Trinidad. And at that time, I met Roi also. He was down there in Trinidad and he attended my father's funeral at that time. It's called Father. Balabare bam bam boom bam bam bim bibidum bidim. Everybody say balabare bam bam boom bidim bidim. Father, you with the passion, love, and a fire. You with unselfish desires, standing like a giant so elegant, with determination to move mountains. Father, balabade bam bam boom bam bam bim bam bam boom, bide echo, balabade. Father, otherwise known as the High Command, spoke his mind, proclaiming the words and reading the signs, representing raw emotions of Kaiso land and divided man. I never appreciated his struggles as a youth, but today his voice rang true. And now I can feel his truth, the truth. Father, eh. Ba-da-ba-de bam bam boom bam bam bim bam bam boom. Yeah. Echo. You emerge from the soul of East Dry River. You, the soldier of fortune who always delivered, working from dusk till dawn. Responsibility comes early, my son. Don't follow them worthless hooligans running on a spiral route. You wasn't born with a gold spoon in your mouth. And if we could listen to the words of Papa, like a devotee, adhere to the teachings of Daddy Lama, to recognize his wisdom in this time, our time. And then, and only then, as always, Mother Priscilla's really voice will baptize all descending hooligans from the hill. Be still. And it's like, balabado bam bam bim bam bam boom bam bam be. Yeah. Echo. Thank you. I'll just do a little piece and just talking about Roy that first time I met Roy in England was in the mid-80s, about 85, 86, during the time of Caribbean Focus. And he was coming through with his drums in London. So we sort of connected there. And at that time, he was an Ansar Allah. I don't know if you know Ansar Allah. It's a particular community that actually started in New York by Imam Isa, somebody called Imam Isa, later on known as Dr. York. And Roy was a follower of Imam Isa, and he was he used to come at my place, and we used to go around. And also, he stayed in, he was in Coventry. He also stayed in Birmingham. He stayed at many other places as well. One thing that's really striking is that when I went back to Trinidad in 1989, Roy was there. Prior to that, I also went to the Sudan to study at the Islamic Islamic Center in Khartoum in Sudan. This was 1987. I studied for about a year there, and Roy was also in Sudan around that time. He was a guest of Saadi al-Mahdi, who was the Prime Minister of the Sudan around that particular time. Okay, so we connected there as well. Later on, I met Roy in Frederick Street, walking down Frederick Street, and Roy's looking at me like, what happened? So he said, look, Yusuf, you're here. I said, listen, you know what? I'm coming down here because I've got a bereavement. But he said, look, before you go back to the UK, we must connect up and do a performance. Roy insisted in doing this, and we rented out a church hall somewhere in Frederick Street in Port of Spain, and we did a performance. One of the pieces that I wrote at that time was called Carnival, and I've not really visited that particular piece at all, but I decided at this particular time I must do it, because Roy was also very instrumental in terms of articulating the perspective of the southern Caribbean islands, the land of oil and steel, the land of oil and music, Kaiso. This is called Carnival. When Carnival come and feel no way, him come out to play. For it's one time we have to feel free, an undying hope of which we all long to be. Though thoughts are expressed in rivalry and mass, his consciousness gone past. You hear what? Jamming in the band, steel and brass, playing a big mass. You hear me? Musicians on the move, engine room jamming. In the groove, a lick-a-ting, a lick-a-ting, a lick-a-ting, a lick-a-ting. Since Juve dawned this man in a drunken state, rubbing up on some woman bam bam right in the heart of Port of Spain. Now it's Port of vain glory. You better sober up, sober up, sober up, man. Listen what the poets say. Assess the situation in time and space. This carnival pollution, this carnival self-gratification, this carnival has been commercialized, capitalized by the big business enterprise. Its virtuous endeavor demoralized by a tourist show so that the money can flow. You think we have a party mentality? Wake up, rejuvenate reality and carnival. Let it be means of expression. Carnival, let it be street theater. Carnival, let it be means of protest by which we confess. By which we confess. From the emancipation of slavery, the art gave birth. Beating of the drums, originality down to earth. For the love of the people, the love of the land, the love of the pan, creator's plan. Hey, everybody. Hey. And so black diaspora moved to different regions. Black diaspora opened new horizons. Please let Carnival retain its course. Let Carnival confront the boss. All my people, beware of a drunken bacchanal. Awaken to the heavenly sounds of a spiritual carnival, culturally filled with creativity. Carnival. I would like to thank everybody for being here at such a special time. Roy's family, his mother, his partner, his daughter, who's in the back there, his other relatives, everybody else who's here. And it's such a special time. Last but not least, I'd like to do a poem called This Train. Because everyone have to take that ride back home. And this is a journey. Feet. If you want to snap your fingers, do that. This train. Everybody, come on. This train. Can't hear you. Say, this train. Many were separated, then became isolated. A minority in search of majority. Now is the time. Rise to the occasion, get to the station, analyze the situation and find a solution. Away from fleeting fantasies, here's our divine reality. Distance must not be measured by our shattered identity. Rhythm is flowing. Knowledge is growing, and I'm not dreaming. Everybody, this train. Come on, get on board. This train. This train will stay on rails so that justice prevail. This train is destined to glory. On this train, you'll hear the full story. There'll be no lies or alibis. This train is committed to the cause and not just because. The land is my home. The jungle in which we roam. Take me back. Everybody, take me back. 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 Everybody, this train. One more time, come on. This. Usher me away from the usurpers. With poison ink and twisted towns, they had us on this merry-go-round. But now the truth is being revealed. It is a time for the nation to heal. This train will take us very far. On this train, know who you really are. Come on, everybody. Ride, ride, ride on this train. Come on. It will not be in vain. It will not be in vain. My mother, many have tried. My mother, many have cried. My mother, many have died for our liberation. Welcome our return. Welcome. The consensus of the conscious. Rhythm is flowing. Knowledge is growing. And I'm not dreaming. This. Come on, everybody. Put your hands. Come on. This train. This. One more time, get your ticket. Come on. And as Biggie used to say, don't need no baggage and no ticket, I will tell you. Don't need no baggage and no ticket, I will say, yeah. We're going home. Thank you.
Big up for Yusuf, please. Thank you. There's a lot of people outside are trying to get in, so we're going to have to kind of rearrange the room slightly. So Mukhtar's just going to tell you what he needs to be doing, but we're going to have to move some chairs and tables and things. So here's more. Remember what we're here for, so please respect that. Also, I want to say to the performers and speakers, in the interest of time, let's respect time. This next section, which is going to consist of a range of speakers, is really about Roi as a performer and a writer. Roi was prolific as a performer, as a writer. Roi did websites, books. There was nothing he never wrote. There's nothing he never performed about. So I don't want to say too much, but we're going to have 4 speakers come up, 4 presentations. We're going to have Jonathan Davidson, Ashanti Anderson, Makapi, and Zaza. So can you please make sure you're ready? And please big up first for Jonathan Davidson. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks very much, Martin. I won't say a lot because there's a lot other people got to say. Just a few things about Roi. I met him about 10 years ago. I was working in the Central Library, running a book festival. Roi came into my office and he played his drum, and it's impossible not to say, we've got to have more of you in the city. When I met him, he could have been 20 or 60, I don't know. He was kind of ageless. And 10 years later, the last time I saw him, I got older. Roi had just stayed as he was. He hadn't changed at all. There's some interesting things about Roi. Probably about 8 or 9 years ago, when you're walking through Birmingham, at any time, in any place, you'd always see Roi Kwabena. You couldn't avoid him. Suddenly Roi would turn around the corner, and you'd turn around the corner, and Roi would be there. Everybody knew him, and he knew everybody. You could have met him for 2 minutes, and it would feel like you'd known him all your life. He had a fantastic sense of friendship with everybody. He had no side to him. He would give you the benefit of the doubt every time. And in a way, he needed to give you the benefit of the doubt, because sometimes he could drive you crazy. If you were organising an event, Roi could drive you crazy. There was times when Roi was supposed to be in Birmingham and he was in Luton. And there was times when he was supposed to be in Luton and he was in Birmingham. And now I kind of feel Roy's not here, but he's maybe in Luton or somewhere. It's just a matter of time. He will arrive eventually. And when he does arrive, he had that capacity to say sorry in such a wonderful way that you felt it was your fault that he was in Luton and you were in Birmingham. He was a great man for making you feel that everything was going to be all right. At the end of the day, everything was going to be fine, and there was no reason for you to panic and worry. And normally he was absolutely right. As soon as he started to talk and perform and play his drums, suddenly everything went right. 2 final things I want to say about Roi is that I went to his funeral last week, and it was a Quaker funeral, so there was a lot of silence. And probably we don't associate silence with Roi Kwabena because he made a lot of noise. But I think he also had a lot of silence in him. He did a lot of thinking and a lot of writing, and although when he was out in the public arena he was full of life and noise, I suspect there was a lot of times when he was silent thinking about things which were important to him. And the funeral last week reminded me about the silent side of Roi. And the other thing about Roi, I think the great sadness about him not being here is I keep on thinking about the people who never met him, who I would like to have met him. I think particularly about my father, who's in his 70s, and he would have loved Roi. And Roi maybe would have loved him. He would have really enjoyed Roi, and now he'll never get a chance to meet him. And that's a great sadness. And there are lots of other people who haven't met Roi yet, and it would have been lovely if they'd been able to meet him. But of course, he's still around because the books are there, the drums are there, the people who knew him, the memories, and he's a man none of us are ever going to forget. So it's been a privilege to have known him, and that's all I'm going to say. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jonathan. I've just been thrown into the deep end. And if you hear the saying, black man can't swim, I can't swim, and I've been thrown in. Yes, so let me do it. Yes? We're going to move on swiftly because I said it's a tight, as Martin said, it's a very tight program. So we're going to move on swiftly. So now we're going to invite a performer, and I think it's a very interesting performer. I don't know if you want to say a bit about that, but I think Roi was actually involved in a naming ceremony, something of the sort. So it's very important that we have this kind of energy. So give a big, warm, healthy welcome to Ashanti Anderson.
Kwabena. He was, as Kukuma said, he was involved in my naming ceremony, and he's also been involved in my choir as well at Cajuns, who helped us learn about our history, where soul came from. So I'm going to sing the swing low. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariots, coming for to carry me home. I looked over yonder, and what did I see? Coming for to carry me home. A band of angels coming after me, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariots, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariots, coming for to carry me home. And if you get there before I do, coming for to carry me home, tell all my friends that I'm coming too, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariots, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariots, coming for to carry me home. Coming for to carry me home. Coming for to carry me home.
How was that? How was it? Yes, man. You see, we're there to celebrate life. We're here to celebrate life. So we're not on dead business. Yes? Lively up yourself. How was that? Good. Roy was a lively person and he's still lively because we don't believe in a dead. The man not dead. The man a trod on still. A trod on still. We're going to have another performer. I don't like to call this man a performer, you know. Yeah. He's a fellow poet and a friend and colleague of Roy, brethren, Idrin. Yes, a man who needs no more than simply Makwape Selassie. Give it up.
Greetings. Well, that him so quiet, you know. I say greetings. Yeah, as Kokomo say, you know, we don't have no sad face and all them thing there, you know. We don't know it. Because as man say, me never meet Roi, you know. I never meet Roi Kwabena yet. Me always buck him up. You know them way there? Buck him up. When Roi say, why, me meet you out at the library for 4 o'clock. You reach 4 o'clock, no Roi, where Roi there? Chuck me gone about my business here, and I gone down the road and boom, Roi. What, Roi? And as Jonathan said, just everything alright, man. Just give that smile. You know that smile Roi have? Utter 2 words and everything cool. Heart melt, everything irie. I was going right. I was going to write the baddest rhyme on the planet. You know one of them rhyme there, everybody arty. I say, yeah? You know them rhyme there? Yeah. Maybe somebody else write it, but I never write it. See, so I go do a tribute to Roi Kwabena. And the best man really is Roi Kwabena. So I go chant 2 who I'm from Roi Kwabena. I don't have the Trinidad accent. Me born at Birmingham, England, of Jamaican parentage. So the Trini couldn't get in there. You know what I mean there? Alright, this is a job for the hangman. Hangman. By Roi Kwabena. A job for the hangman. Now take your responsibility seriously. Hang with expediency. Hang this legislation for its impropriety. Hang the legacy of slavery and indentureship. Hang high the ruling parasitic oligarchy. Hang until dead injustice are being incarcerated for 2 decades awaiting execution. Hang the plan to abolish the Privy Council. Hang the plan to empower the sterile legal vultures of these plantation economies. Hang the archaic state of prisons, be it Trinidad, Jamaica, or Grenada. Hang quickly the temptation to ignore Amnesty International. Hang the truth up high, that the issue is not only the death penalty, but human rights. Accept the reality that the causes of crime must be addressed. For the homeless, poverty-stricken, naked and hungry cannot be overlooked. Hang the inability to protect the fishing industry. Execute immediately the notion of nationals, whether Trini or Guyanese. Have the right to pollute the Orinoco Delta with their drug and gun-running activity. Hang until dead the system of neo-colonialism. Now, take your responsibility seriously. Then we can begin to discuss national unity. A Job for the Hangman by Roi Kwabena. And one more slice of the cake. This one called Letter from Sea Lads. I don't know where sea lads there. Who know where sea lads there? No, Trini no in here. No Trinidad no in here. Okay. Alright. Letter from sea lads. Only £5 you send? Bread, sugar and milk gone up. Buses don't run, water still go. No severe threat in charge of the water in Maraval. So we're looking out for poison. Money hard to come by. We don't hear suffering. Sure, we have gas, oil, methanol, steel and sugar exporting, but mangrove still vamping, factories not hiring, even racehorse protesting, crime rampant as jurors hunted, laws improvising and English QCs hustling, but teachers' money still owing. You ask for news? Any news is sad news. Doublesman and market vendors still on the run. Kidnapping and family murders add to this shame. While my old grand still worried, sick about your pension. Cable and wire full, with sure L come back. Even Powertech and Brit grasp follow fashion. But Maxi still accept short change. Yet parts expensive, so all the insurance profiting. And Spranger still roaming in the night. The only difference is the then opposition must now salute for the independence parade. Senator, I'm sure you would have liked that. Letter from Sea Lads, Roi Kwabena. God bless.
Again, thank you, McCarthy. Job for the hangman. Them not hang nobody at them place here again. Them not hang nobody here. Oh, all right, good. Roi was very instrumental in bringing people together, cross-cultural, as they call it, people from all walks of life, everybody under one umbrella. And one of the things he did was to put a collective together with some other people, which I don't know names, and they come together and form what we call Writers Without Borders. And we're going to have Zaza, a member of that collective, I think, to pay a tribute. to the great man. Give it up for Zaza.
Hello. Hello. Yes, I'm a member of Writers Without Borders, but I would like to say something personal about Roy. The first time I met him was here at the Drum, and I came along because I had always written poetry and sung, but I wanted to start going on the circuit as a poet. And I walked in here, I was very nervous. And Roy came up to me, he'd never ever seen me before, and he said to me, "Greetings, sister," and took me over and sat me down. And I'd never ever forgot that, because if he hadn't done that, I would be a totally different person today. I would never forget it. He was a great friend, he'll be sadly missed. And I'd like to sing this small, short song just for Roy and for his family. My heart opens her petals to the moths in the moon. Where is my true love? Does he wander far? My heart opens her petals to the moths in the moon. Where is my true love? Where is my true love? Where is my true love? Does he wander far? My heart opens her petals to the owls in the clouds. Where is my true love? Does he wander far? My heart opens her petals to the owls in the clouds. Where is my true love? Where is my true love? Where is my true love? Does he wander far? My heart opens her petals to the drums in the night. Where is my true love? Does he wander far? My heart opens her petals to the drums in the night. Where is my true love? Where is my true love? Where is my true love? Does he wander far? Thank you.
Thank you, Zaza. Among the many things, I guess if we try to name them, it might be a few more. Roy was an academic. He was an historian, an anthropologist, and as I said, among other things. I'm going to invite Stuart Brown, the head of West African Studies, Birmingham University, to pay tribute to the great man. Give it up.
Thank you very much. It's good to be invited to be here, but it's a very sad occasion. I was just saying to somebody down there, I really can't believe that Roy's not going to turn up. As Jonathan said, he had a way of turning up and bouncing into your life and disappearing for a few weeks or a month and then coming back again. Roy made contact with the Centre of West African Studies at the University of Birmingham pretty much as soon as he settled in Birmingham, and we had a relationship over the whole of the rest of his time here. He was, as was just said, he was an historian and an anthropologist and a cultural activist in various kinds of ways, as well as a writer. But his history wasn't necessarily conventional African history, and it didn't necessarily find a comfortable audience in the university. But Roi wasn't put out by this. Roi would find his audience and find his disciples wherever they were. And he often, rather than being invited to give formal talks about his research in history, he would improvise with groups of students. He would do informal things rather than give formal lectures. His relationship with the centre was more as a poet, and my relationship with him was as a literary academic rather than as a historical figure. Roi would come at least once a year and speak to our students, reading from his own work and latterly giving drumming demonstrations. He was able to demonstrate different drum rhythms from across Africa and from across the Caribbean, and this was a wonderfully useful way of making something live, which otherwise, as is the way in the universities, tends to be dry and academic. There was one occasion I remember when he was drumming at the front of a lecture hall, and the door burst open, and an irate lecturer from next door came storming in, demanding to know what this row was, what that racket was. And we were all being terribly politically correct, very offended on Roi's behalf, but Roi just laughed. Roi just thought it was funny. You know, there were drums disturbing the establishment yet again. Roi took his poetry seriously, and he wanted to be taken seriously. And he asked me to write the introduction to his collection, A Job for the Hangman, which Mugapi just read a couple of poems from. Indeed, Mugapi read one of the poems that I was going to read, so I'm improvising a little. But Roi, I was pleased to write the introduction, and Roi was very pleased with this taking of his poetry seriously in a kind of academic sense. So I thought it would be appropriate just to read a couple of paragraphs from that introduction. Don't worry, I'm not going to become full-on lecturing mode, but it sets perhaps the work in a context anyway that Roi appreciated. So this is from the introduction to Hangman. And the introduction begins with an epigraph from one of Roi's poems: "A poem alone can expose a lie. Anyone who meets Roi Kwabena or sees him in performance will recognise in the man the qualities that characterise his poetry: a restless energy, a wry wit and humour, a fervent commitment to egalitarian ideals, and a real concern for people." Just about all of the poems in this new collection are poetic commentaries on the flux and frustrations of life in modern Trinidad, written from the unique perspective of one who has seen how the political system works from the inside during his tenure as a senator in the nation's parliament, but who has stepped away from that role to reclaim the license of the folk poet, to sting those in power who do not live up to their own rhetoric. The poems represent a kind of grounding between the poet and his audience. They serve in performance as occasions for debate and discussion, rather than the invitation to applause that more conventionally literary poems seem to invite when read aloud. Roi Kwabena, like other poets of this tradition across the Caribbean, seems to value the poem primarily as an agent of dialogue, whether directly as in performance, or in terms of stirring his readers to debate among themselves. The poet's vocation for Roi Kwabena is understood within the broader context of cultural activism. Not for him the luxury of emotions recollected and shaped in tranquility. Rather, these poems are urgent messages from the front. As such, it's not surprising that the poetic language he employs is direct and largely lacking in the ornaments of a more leisured idea of versification. There's little room for metaphor in this poetry of engagement. But like the Calypsonians, whose shadows inevitably bear on any popular poetry from Trinidad, there is much clever wordplay here, and Kwabena's poems are characterised by a kind of rhythmic surge which invites enunciation and performance. Roi Kwabena writes in the anticipation that the words will come off the page and into the air. So the poems are written to be heard as much as to be read, and that expectation very much determines their shape on the page. I was then going to read the poem Message from Sea Life, or letter from Sea Lots that Mugapi read much better than I could. We're going to read that because I was able to include that in the Oxford Book of Caribbean Verse. And again, Roy was really pleased that in some sense he'd broken across a particular barrier. I shall really miss him. It was a real privilege to work with him. And I'm sure his spirit is in this room, appreciating the contributions that people are making. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stuart. We just feel like us, you know. Oh, no, do. You all right? Yes, sir. You all right? Good. Good. We're gonna, if you got your program, don't pay too much attention to it. Pay attention to what I say now. It makes it much easier. Yeah? We're gonna invite Sandra Golden to read a tribute from Richard Benjamin, who is the head of the International Slavery Museum in Liverpool. I think last year Roy was named as one of the world's black achievers. We get it right? Anybody know about? The world black achiever in history. Eh? That is a mammoth of a type, you know. Black man, yes. A giant among man, because when I grew up, them say giant did big and tall. And so we are walk around and we say giant no exist no more. Because we don't see no big tall man, you understand? Roy was of small stature. But what a powerful man, eh? Wasn't he a giant? Yes, man. A giant. Away.
Yeah, far away.
Far away. They just say far away, they never tell me away. I wasn't expecting. So we're gonna have a tribute by Mishu?
Nimita Delvin.
Oh, see? Read by
Nimita Delvin, thank you. Can I just say, when I met Roy, I had to repeat my name twice as well, so that was quite good. Great introduction. I'm going to read a tribute from Mishu from Bangladesh. He's a writer from Writers Without Borders. The tribute which he stated says, please convey that the feeling, I'm feeling very, start again. Okay. Please convey that I'm feeling gravely distressed and saddened. I have always remembered and touched by the kindness, the brotherhood and the friendship he has showed to me in special times of necessity. He will always be in my thoughts and action, and I have brought a piece of his light to the farthest land of Bangladesh. As far as I live, to me, in his memory, will be passed on. In the ancient text of Hindu scriptures, the Bhagavad Gita, it is stated that a person stays in heaven as long as he is remembered and praised on land. Roy's deeds are endless and will enlighten the mankind forever. Mishu. He was a part of a writer from Bangladesh, and it stated that. Can I also add a little bit more that since I've met Roy, I've started looking at words in a different way. I'm not a performer, a writer or anything. I'm a doodler because I do a lot of artwork and everything, interactive work. And it was wonderful meeting Roy because he enlightened me, not only with the words, but the fact that he stated Midlands is not just Midlands, it's the middle of a land. And he was grateful to be touched upon the people here in Birmingham. And my experience with Roy in meeting was all spiritual based, so I was honoured in meeting him and enlightened by his mind. And it was great to share this moment with you. Thank you.
Thank you. the meter. Is that right now? See, you got it. See? I thought I was getting good at this job, but, I will one day. We're going to break it up now with a bit of music, right? Because are the spirit that? Yeah? So we're going to have a bit of music now. So I'm going to invite Milton Godfrey to pay his tribute in music. So give it up for Milton Godfrey. Have you done that, man?
I met Roy in 1984 when he came to England. I was working with Seiko Theatre from Soweto. And I started performing Roy as a poet. But one of the first songs I learned from Seiko Theatre was called Sideva, which is the story of somebody who left their home, left their village, and went to the city and traveled about and met up with conflicting memories of good and bad times, and now they've returned home. It's called Sideva. Nande sefuni ukuwamba bichambiza and sefuni na ukuzulu dislandin yukom bichambiza and bombardini hedari kuzu bichambiza zanzigema ese sangwenem na hadari kuzu bichambiza zanzigeko hiyo divile mama Elizabeth kola lili la lekos Nandingo moreli abasoli bam Nandingo kataleni hukuma Kuzo zonke zonde zimbi Na kuzo zonke zinte de zinzi Hiyo tula mama Sandi vila mam Tula mama Zugulila mam Achami bamba hedi shile Bahandi shile kuna nagia naga Tula wena moment TV Iyo divile mama Elizabeth la kola li dadekos Nandingo moreli abasoli bam Nandingo kata leni ukuma Kuzo zonge zonde zimbi Kuzo zonge zinte zimbi Iyo tula mama Sandi vile mam Tula mama zugulila mam Acha mi bamba hedi shile Bahandi shile kuna nagia naga Tula wena moment TV Iyo tula mama Sandi vile mam Tula mama zugulila mam Acha mi bamba hedi shile Bahandi shile kuna nagia naga Tula wena moment TV Esa.
Thank you, Godfrey. Wasn't that sweet? Tula mama. Tula mama. We're going to have another tribute, and then I think it's fitting to have a break after that. You think so? Yeah. So we can stretch on the leg and get something to drink and all of that, but nothing going away. So I'm gonna invite the next speaker. Roy was very instrumental in organizations such as the library services and among others. This time I'm gonna invite Brian Gambles from Birmingham Library Services to pay his tribute to the great man. Give it up.
Thank you. It's just me between you and the break now, so I won't take too long. Roi worked with us for many years in the library service. Thank you. I made some notes, but I'm not going to use them because it's what I really feel about Roi that matters. He worked with us for many years. I don't think there's a library in the city that he hasn't spent time in performing and reading and working with adults and children. And Roi loved the sound of words and the rhythm of words, and he understood the meaning of language, and he knew all about the power of words and language to change people's lives and make them understand and see things better. And we loved him in return for that. Just a few examples of the work he's done with us. He worked so hard with us on our Young Readers Festival for over 5 years. And I think that work with children is just so important and a real measure of the man. We've already heard about his work with Writers with Borders and the work he did with my colleague Kathy, who's here tonight, in setting up that organisation, and what a powerful thing that has been to change things in the city. He was our Poet Laureate, of course, in 2001. We were the first city in the UK, first library service to set up a Poet Laureate. Others have followed since. And Roi was one of the great examples of what a poet could do with the words and his understanding of culture and heritage to change things. He was a great example to those that have come after him. He worked with us and the museum service on the Digital Handsworth project, and his encouragement in that, and his understanding of the depth of culture, the depth of heritage, again has been a shining example, and lots more work has followed from that. And most recently he's worked with the museum service, bringing his own unique style of performance to enliven the wonderful Equiano exhibition and the work last year to commemorate the 200th abolition of slavery. But just two final thoughts about Roi, really. One is the great men achieve a lot, and really great men, they help other people to achieve a lot. And I think that's the measure of what Roi managed to do. So many people he helped to achieve. And the second thing is, really, just on a personal note, I met Roi so many times, and as people have said already, in the strangest places. You never knew when you'd meet Roi. And I don't think I ever left Roi without a smile on my face. And that's a great thing to be able to say about somebody. So we loved Roi, and we'll miss him. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. I think on that note, I'll run for a break and hope that I'll be relieved.
look at their faces now. They think they're really good now, don't they? Yeah. They are. Keep it going, keep it going. They haven't come off yet, you know what I mean? Why? All right, come on, let's get started. Come on. Let's get... Right. Everybody had a drink? Let me hear it. Everybody had a drink? Yeah. No, did everybody get a drink? Yeah. Nobody bought me one though. Yeah? Say ah. Anyway, I disappeared for a while. I'm back now. So we're going to get into the second half of the program. I just want to pick up the drum again. And actually, that's why it was probably this, you know, what you heard is the drum. That's why it's good to have drumming in the drum. Is that not true? All right, we're going to start the next bit. And this next bit really has a few speakers, but includes yourself. Any of you that's involved in any cultural activity, you know we're in a time at the moment where we talk about funding, we talk about making money. How many people here remember back in the 70s and 80s when we never had no money and we were broke? If you remember when we were broke, let me hear you say broke. No, there's broke and there's broke. Let me hear you say broke. See? Now, the way we grew, in order for us to get the resources to do what we needed to do, it's not like it is now. A lot of us had to get involved in activism. We had to argue, cuss, kick a door off the hinge, threaten people. I was going to say kidnap people. We felt like we wanted to kidnap people, but we didn't. So this section is really about cultural activism. Shh, please. Anybody that knew Roi will know he was a very active person in making change. But Roi wasn't alone. Many of us were involved and still are in cultural activism. This particular section is, I suppose, what you call open mic. Now, when we say open mic, it's not like comedy or hip-hop. This is about an opportunity for some people in the audience to give a short burst of something that they remember about Roi in relationship to Roi as an activist. Have we got the roving mics? Wait a minute, who's got the roving mic? Can you just turn the lights up a little bit? I need to see people, because if people drone on, you know what's going to happen, innit? So so can just people highlight where the mics are? One mic's there, Ava. Mukhtar's got the other one. So if you want to say a couple words, and couple I mean that way, couple, please put your hands up and make your way to the microphone, or the microphone will come to you. So, can we just turn the house lights up, because I need to be able to see people. There's a hand up at the back there.
If you can't, one fish. One fish.
All right. You want to come up here? Okay.
And I will always love you. I will always love you. I will always love. Of all, it's easy to achieve. Say, learning to love yourself is the greatest love of all.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, that kicked it off well there. So, who's next? On the floor, please. Can we make sure people stay on the floor? because I'm going to get the sack if you don't. I can't. Can you swing the lights up, please? I can't see people.
We'd like to keep this quick, please. If you'd like to say something, grab the mic, say something quick and
Yeah, can you turn the house lights up, please? Thank you. Just to get this bit. All right, over here. Shh, please.
Yes, most of the speakers here tonight mention a year, a very special year. It was 1986. That's when I went Roi Kwabena for the first time during the Caribbean Focus Festivals. And one of the things that people talk about is his use of the drum. And I've seen many drummers, and I've played with many drummers, but Roi was the first person I actually saw who played the drum. And when his hands moved over the drum, it was like a butterfly. It was just like something I've never seen. But the other thing he did, he made me understand, here is not West India.
Yo, thanks, Celeste. Oh, thank you. Who else? Over there.
Hello, my name's Jagwant. I've known Roi since about 1995, and we got him involved in doing stuff around Black history in Birmingham, and he sort of coined the phrases like past plus present equals future. And I think that's what the memory of Roi really needs to be. But I was talking to some colleagues earlier on as to what would you remember about Roi and what was very special about him. And for me, what was special about him was he was able to introduce people from different cultures to each other. And we ain't got enough of those people around. A number of us went to his funeral last week, and we was having a conversation, me and Sandra, and we was trying to figure out what religion did Roi belong to. Was he a Muslim? Was he a Christian? Was he a Quaker? Because the funeral was a Quaker. And we came to the conclusion that Roi was a spiritualist and a humanist. So we've spent a lot of time with Roi here in Birmingham. But what was important at the funeral was to hear that it didn't just belong to Birmingham, he belonged to Copenhagen, he belonged to Trinidad, he belonged to Watford, he belonged to London. Everybody had a good thing to say about him. During Black History Month here in Birmingham, he used to try things that people didn't think were possible. Once he had a choir coming from Jamaica, and they was on the way to Greece for something called the Choir Olympics. And he's trying to raise money to look after these people. They arrived at the airport, he didn't have any money, but he took his credit card, booked them into the hotel, and then worried about finding the money on a much later time. So I think we need to remember Roi, because not only was he a philosopher in terms of interpreting things that are currently going on, but he was a man of action who did what others wouldn't do. Long live Roi Kwabena.
Thank you. Anybody else? Anybody else? Nah, you lot's lame, man. You can't just have two people in the place. Oh, good.
Martin.
Oh, good.
Okay, hi everybody. My name's Monica Herbert. This is my partner, Trevor. We were quite close friends with Roi. In fact, the last time he was in Birmingham, he actually stayed over at our house, which he did from time to time, and would talk late into the night about various things. A lot of people have mentioned that there were many parts to Roi, you know, spiritually, academic, this, that, the other, lots of different things to him. For instance, people might not know that he was one of the founders of the Birmingham Tabernacles, and that he actually was present at Dr. York's inauguration in America. He spoke a lot on his last visits when he stayed over. He spoke a lot about being a representative for indigenous peoples around the world and representing them in the UN. So it's all the indigenous peoples from Australia, America, various African countries, various Caribbean countries. They've united, and basically they're ready to present a case in the UN, and he was the representative for that. He was very excited about that. Roi was a man that I could never work out. You know what I mean? There was many, many parts to Roi. But before when I knew Roi, I met him when I was working down at Aston Hall, and he was doing some storytelling, and we quickly became quite good friends. I didn't know that he was, you know, an academic and, you know, many of the things that he did do. And when I did find out, it was a running joke, actually. When I found out that he was, you know, somebody of quite structure, I sort of, they were running jokes saying, boy, I never know you did somebody right, you know what I mean, and that sort of thing. But to me, he was a man that thought a lot about the black community. He was really interested as well, on the last conversation I had with him, he was really interested to know what we thought about the new immigrants that were coming in from the various Caribbean islands. And I think it's a really good thing, you know, it's keeping the culture alive, fresh, you know, things are coming from the Caribbean and keeping it alive. And he was really interested in that. He was very interested in what their experience was now that they've come over and how they're getting on with the black folks that are over here now. But he was a lovely man, and I know Roy is somebody who liked to drink, smoke and have a laugh, and you know, he liked to have fun. So as we're celebrating his life today, let's remember that he was a man that liked to enjoy himself, as well as being interested in many things to do with the black community. And he was a man that really did concern himself with the black community and wanted them to move forward and the betterment of the black community. So, you know, when we're thinking about him, let's remember that. And hopefully his death will make us all think about our position in life now and what we're actually doing. Are we uniting? Are we coming together? Are we trying to move forward? What are we doing with our lives? Because like Roy, we could suddenly not be here the next day. So think about what you're doing. What can we do to make life better for the community, the young people coming up? What can we do that is similar to Roy, that we can leave a little legacy, at least with our families? I want my grandchildren to be able to say, well, my grandmother did such and such and such, and forwarded the black cause.
Ava, just hold on a sec. Now, the next person I'm going to introduce, because somebody's got something they want to say about Roy, but if anybody's qualified to speak about him, is his sister, Helen. Let's give Helen a big round of applause, because hey, come on, no, properly, man, come on. Just before Helen speaks, yeah, all the years Roy used to talk about his sister, we spoke on the phone, and what I want to say while she's here, yeah, is that she's been so gracious and generous and loving and kind in light of what's taking place. And I think it's a lesson to all of us that in spite of what's going on, when we spoke on the phone, she's still full of humour and love and stuff like that. And I think it's only important that the person that knows Roy as a brother has an opportunity to talk to you. So please pay attention. Helen, I'm going to stand next to you. So please give another round of applause. Come on.
Yeah, firstly, I would like to thank everyone for all the love and energy right now that I'm feeling in this room. I would really like to thank you very, very much. So I'll give you a round of applause for that. Thank you very, very much. But one thing I must remember about Roy is that he always fondly referred me to as his little sister. So everybody will be like, where her? Where is the 8-year-old or the 9-year-old? He's always saying his little sister. That's one thing I remember about. But I remember being about 12, 13. Yeah, and going into his bedroom, he'd be up like 12, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the night. And my dad said, that light's still on, what's going on with the electricity bill? All night, writing. And when you ask for you don't have to know, you'll see it. Then when he was about 18, 19, he was telling us, I'm going back to my homeland. I'm going home. But you are at home. You're in Trinidad. No, my motherland, I'm going. Say, okay. Came next day, tickets. He's gone to Africa. How long are you going for? Oh, just 2 weeks. He spent 2 years. And it has been like that. I'm going to just West Antilles. I'm going Puerto Rico. I'm going Europe. I'm going all over. How long are you going for? Oh, just 2 weeks. He ended up staying 2 years. 1 year here, 1 year. But you know, the amazing thing is the energy he had, the energy. That's the amazing thing. And he was a people person. He loved everyone. He loved talking to people. He loved passing on everything he knows onto others. That's the amazing thing. So I think tonight is about celebrating his life. He's here with us. I know he's here, dear God. And I know he's at rest. He's at peace. So let's give a hand of applause to him. He's a loving person. And we all love him. And we'll always remember him. Don't ever forget him. Because he's here with all of us. Thank you very much. And thank you all. On behalf of my family, thank you all.
When you hear Helen, you hear Roy. You know what I mean? That's, no, definitely. No. Why? How do you follow that? Serious. Is there anybody else wants to speak before we start, or do we feel that that's the appropriate moment to stop there? Yeah. Let's please give big up for Helen again. That was just. Also, Helen's son, who's down there. Come on, big up for him too. Yeah. Why? So we're going to come to a few more presentations. And I'm just gonna call the people out, just so that I know that they know they're in the place. We're gonna have Mukhtar's gonna come and talk on behalf of the drum. Is Kemby in the house? Yeah? Is Kemby there? If she can find her way to the front. Avelino, where's Avelino? Can you make sure that you're over here? And Kakumo will kind of back up that section. So, Roy traveled, did everything, did a whole heap of things at the drum, and it's only fitting that actually we're holding it in the drum, that Mukhtar has an opportunity to come and talk and represent his perspective on Roy on behalf of the drum. So Mukhtar, please give it up for Mukhtar, please. Thank you.
Members of Roy's family, sister, brothers and sisters, friends, we at the drum were very shocked and deeply saddened when we heard of the terrible news of Roy's untimely death. And on behalf of all of my colleagues that work here at the drum, we would like to convey our